Hey there, I'm glad you're here at Seaver Shoots, back with another video. Today, I'm talking about something that I think is an essential piece of equipment, whether it is your EDC gun, your go-to nightstand gun, or your crap hits the fan AR-15. Every single one of these guns, if you plan on using it at any point in your life, I know none of us plan on using it, but if you think you might have to use it at some point, it should have a light on it. Why? Because you can't shoot what you can't see. Technically you can, but if you shoot something you can't see and it ends up being something you didn't want to shoot, you're gonna wish you had lit it up before you lit it up. So start considering, how are you going to fight in the dark, whether it be an everyday carry light that you deploy with your firearm, or conveniently a light that is on your firearm. You need a light. Now, before we get into the light that we're going to be talking about today, let's talk about my first channel affiliate that I'm very excited about, and that is Axle Hearing Protection. These are my favorite pair of hearing protection that I currently own. They are the GS Extremes, the 1.0. They just came out with a 2.0. We'll talk about that in a second, but these things are freaking fantastic. They have the ear hook style, and these things are bendy so that you can get the perfect fit to go around your ears. So I'll go ahead and hook these guys on, shove them down in my ear holes. Now I can hear absolutely nothing except the reverberations of my voice in my throat. I like to tuck the extra string down in my shirt so that they become a very low profile pair of hearing protection. Now, not only are they protecting my hearing, I also have Bluetooth capabilities with these, so I can take them out to the range or take them to the gym, block out all the sound and noise around me, like the guy next to me who is grunting excessively, and I can listen to my podcasts, my music, my audio books, and not have to deal with any other sounds that I want to block out. Now, if I want to have a conversation, these do have active listening, so I just flip a switch, and now my hearing is just as good, if not better, than my hearing is without these guys in my ear. They are rated to reduce decibels by 29 decibels specifically, which is a lot, especially compared to some of the more popular muffs out there. Those typically hum around 23 decibels or so. So these are actually a cut above that kind of ear protection. Now, they're so low profile that if you wanted to, honestly, you could probably throw some muffs over them. Axle has a pair of fantastic muffs that don't make your ears tired like most muffs do, and those would probably fit over these, or those would work fantastic on their own. They're pretty low profile, so they sit up pretty high. My biggest issue with most ear pro is that when I go to cheek weld, the end here will pop that cup up off my ear. I'll get a ringing over time, I'll get hearing loss, and I already have a genetic disposition for hearing loss, so I'd like to avoid that as much as possible. If you're interested in getting yourself a pair of awesome ear pro and saving some money, go ahead and hit the link that I am leaving down in the description. That'll take you to Axle's website, and then you can use Seaver Shoots as a discount code at checkout. It'll save you 15%, and the channel will get a little bit of a kickback. Full disclosure, I will get a little bit of money back from you doing that. But you save money, you get awesome ear pro, I get some money, and I pump that back into the channel for good content for you. Everybody wins. Axle Hearing Protection, my favorite hearing protection that I have by far. Now, let's get into today's product. So the product I want to talk about today comes from a company who not only do they make quality products, but they are also killing it on the customer satisfaction, customer relations side of things. Cloud Defensive is absolutely awesome. They are not only killing it because their products are quality, they have everything that you need, everybody loves them, they're bomb proof, but also when a customer has an issue, even when it comes to just ordering stuff, they are on top of it. So I had a couple buddies who tried to participate in some of Cloud Defensive's drops. They were dropping a really cool looking light that was this crazy green color. My buddies wanted one, and so did everybody else apparently, because their servers kept getting crashed like crazy. So people were having a hard time checking out. So Cloud reached out to their consumer base and they said, hey, if you wanted to order something today, if you tried to and you weren't able to get through, send us an email and we'll make sure you get one of our products. That is awesome. A lot of other manufacturers would just be like, well, it is what it is. If you got one, you got one. If you didn't, that sucks to be you. Companies like Cloud Defensive are always going to stand out to me and impress me. And I'm always going to want to go with companies like that. Similar to companies like Dead Air or Primary Weapon Systems, it is always nice to find a company that is quality and classy as well. But let's get into the light. This is the Cloud Defensive Rein, the 1.0. They just released the 2.0. We'll talk about them in comparison just a little bit, but we are going to start with some numbers because when it comes to lights, numbers are important to people. So think about this. This small little guy has about 200 lumens, lights up a room really well, can go out to about 20 yards, no problem. Really good EDC light. The X300 is infamous, 1000 lumens, reaches out pretty well to 30, 40 yards and a little bit beyond that. Also lights up a room really well. Really good for your bigger duty-minded, crap hits the fan pistol kind of light. And then we have the Cloud Defensive Rein. This thing is pushing out 60,000 candela and 1400 lumens. So not only can it light up a room pretty well with those lumens, and that is what lumens do, they are the volume of the light. That is kind of what controls the spill and the amount of light, just to keep it simple. And the candela controls the punch, the ability of the light to reach out to distance. So the place where that is most noticeable for me is out on the range. And the first light that I had, this guy, the Olight M2R Warrior Pro, was not up to that task. So when I was a poor and could only afford a $100 light, this guy caught my eye. $100 for everything: the mount, the pressure switch, the light, obviously, a rechargeable base, and everything. This thing was $100, and it did its job. It could light up around my house at the time in my backyard, which is all I really wanted it for. I wanted to be able to see in the dark at least a little bit. But when I took this out to the range with my buddies, it really lacks the candela. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's in the 40,000 range if I remember correctly. I must have got a bum one though, because I have some friends who have this same light. It reaches out to 50 yards just fine for them, but I can't see crap at 50 yards with this thing. So it has become kind of a dedicated EDC light that sits in my backpack for emergencies. If I need a light that is off gun to use, this is the one that I'll pull out, though I will say, after 5 minutes, it gets really hot to the touch. If it's being used continually for 5 minutes, it starts to burn just a little bit, and these things have been known to become impromptu flash bangs. So probably gonna send this back to Olight. They did issue a recall, get some money back for it in order to upgrade this guy just a little bit. But we have moved on from there, finally saved up enough pennies to get into the Cloud Defensive Rein. Definitely a much more quality light and can reach out 250 and past. Now that's important to me because where I live, in my opinion, if anything goes down in the dark, 50 yards is the absolute max that I'll have to reach out to. So I want it to at least be able to do that. And then obviously it's going to be great everywhere inside of there. So getting away from the numbers, let's get into the features. We're going to start with the pressure switch, which is fantastic. We have a constant on, very clicky, which I love. And then we have our momentary, which I love a little bit less because it's kind of stiff. And I don't know if that's because it needs more break-in. I'm sure it was engineered that way slightly because we don't want to negligently discharge the light, but it is kind of hard to press down on and keep on without this flickering on and off thing that it's doing right now. Makes it really hard to get a sight picture, but I might just need to get used to it, get a stronger grip, something, break it in. But for the most part, the pressure pad is great. Other than the stiffness, not too much to complain about. It also comes with integrated cord keeping features, so a hole out the left and right sides of the pressure pad so that you can run that cord to the right or the left, whatever you want. Obviously that leads up to the light and integrates right there. All of these little tabs are places where if you unscrew the cap and pull it out, you can pull that interface out, flip it, and push it up so that the cord comes out of whatever hole you want it to, just to help you with that cord keeping. But having it run here nice and short, just against my handguard, not an issue, doesn't cause me any problems, hasn't snagged on anything in the couple of months that I've had this guy on here. Now getting to the back here, if you don't want to buy the complete kit, which means you'll just get the light, you will get a switch here at the back. Momentary, and then a nice clicky constant on. So theoretically, you could run this thing without the pressure switch if you really wanted to. Moving up from there, we have our mounting interface. I'm not sure which one this is exactly, but it is a offset style M-lock mount. So it M-locks right there into the side of my rail, and then the light screws into it from the bottom. So you screw the light into the mount first, and then you M-lock the mount down to your firearm. And I haven't had any issues with this mount. There's also a whole bunch of different holes, so I could move this at a bunch of different positions along the mount if I wanted to. Now the next thing I'll say is obviously we can move this to the opposite side, and the other thing we can do is we can actually flip it upside down so that the light is down towards the bottom of the rail instead of the top of the rail. So really versatile mounting solution that Cloud has included with this light if you go with the complete kit. 500 rounds or so since I put this guy on here, no issues with it shaking loose or anything like that, and I didn't use any kind of thread locker in that process, so it's been really good for me up to this point. Now, one thing that I will mention is that this, again, is the 1.0 version. 1.5, really. They had the 1.0, and then they did a little upgrade to it, but still called it the 1.0. Now they have the 2.0, and from what I understand, the body is pretty much the same, but the head is new and different. And the biggest thing with the new head is not only is it smaller, sleeker, more streamlined, but it's also changed the output just a little bit. So the new 2.0 heads are pushing out 70,000 candela and 1100 lumens. So they are optimizing that ability to punch out a little bit further. This guy is okay out to 100. I can definitely ID something, depending on what color it is, out to 100 yards and make good hits, but I think that that extra 10,000 candela is going to go a long way to pushing your ability to see out more towards 100. So just so you can get a little bit more of a visual, let's take you out to the range real quick and show you what this thing looks like at 50 yards. So this target all the way at the back, the big white one, is 50 yards. And right next to it is a little silhouette that is, I don't know, I think it's about 5 by 8. So from 50 yards, I'm getting really good positive ID on that thing. One thing I will say that I'm noticing is pressing the buttons is hard. They'll probably break in over time, and I'm sure they make it so that you can't accidentally trip the light, but it also has a constant on. Also very hard to press, but it makes that very easy. No issues. Cloud defensive Rein at 50 yards. So as you can see there, 50 yards is no issue for this guy, and obviously 50 yards and in. I didn't take any video of pushing it out to 100, but like I said, it can do it. It's just not very fantastic. Definitely not optimized for that. But if that's something you want, all you got to do is get the new version. Or if you have this, just get the new head for it. Love that they're pushing towards that modularity. Now let's show you one thing that has to do with that mount that would push the light a little bit further. I don't think I need that, and I'm still convinced I don't, because if you look here, you will see we have a little bit of what's called suppressor shadow there on the side of that shadow. And obviously you can see where the light is lighting up the suppressor right here. I will say that the only place that is significantly noticeable is within 10 yards, especially indoors where there's walls and stuff. The light is bright enough that even though it gets that shadow, it still lights up the whole room enough. That shadow is really not going to block your vision on anything. And then outside, 20 yards and further, you don't notice at all. So at 50 yards, really no noticeable suppressor shadow. I don't see any reason to need to push this light much further up unless I decided to throw a longer can on here. That might affect it, but so far my plans are not to go any longer than this 6.5 inch can, so I don't think I'm gonna need a mount that pushes that light any further up on the gun. Now they do have a mini version of this, and it cuts off somewhere between 1 and 2 inches, definitely a little bit smaller. And the only thing that really affects with that light is its run time. So obviously the battery life's not going to be as great. But speaking of batteries, they are rechargeable, and Cloud Defensive provides you with a charger. So theoretically, you could have 2 batteries charging in here and then 1 in the light. And then if you ever felt like you were getting low with the 1, you could easily pull the head off and switch out to one of your other charged up batteries. This thing is absolutely bomb proof. I have loved using it so far. It has made my life significantly easier at range nights with the boys, and I would highly recommend this or any of the other versions that they have, whether it be the Mini or the 2.0. You cannot go wrong with Cloud Defensive. Guys, if you liked this video, I'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. If you did not, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section why you didn't like it so I can make better videos for you. If you want to contribute to the channel, consider getting yourself an awesome pair of Ear Pro. In that situation, everybody wins. Or if you want to get access to some exclusive content and contribute to the channel, feel free to go to the link in my description that will take you to my Patreon and consider subscribing to me there. Love you guys, and as always, I will catch you later.